Hey guys, Paul Morrow here again for Obstes.org, doing a big news recap for Thursday, 21 August. Here we go, a lot of news today. Big story has to be the fact that the appellate division, that's the first court of you can appeal to in New York State, has thrown out the judgment against Donald Trump. Essentially, they were embarrassed into doing it because the case was so thin. They kept the judgment itself, which in my opinion was a cowardly way to go, but they threw out this ridiculous $515 million judgment from that wacky judge, Judge Engoron. Let's tease it out. First of all, case never should have been brought. Even the appellate division, which is completely Democratic, had to agree to that because they were going to be embarrassed as the case went up the chain to the final court of appeals, which is the top court in New York State. And they had to throw this thing out. And they even called the judgment arbitrary. Why does that matter? Because that means Engoron really based it on nothing. So he could have some trouble from Donald Trump. Donald Trump could go after him. Now, that said, it's very tough to go after a judge, but this seems so egregious, and they seem to have opened the door to it. Why did they keep the actual judgment itself in place? I think to protect Tish James. Everybody knows that right now there's a grand jury impaneled in Northern District of New York. That's a federal grand jury that's looking at her for targeting Donald Trump, and it's a criminal statute that they're using. Where is this going, in my opinion? I think this case is going to spread. And this decision today only plays into it, all right? They can only protect her so much here, okay? This now looks more predatory than ever by Tish James against Donald Trump. Frankly, Tish James asked for it. The fact that she came into office saying she was going to get Donald Trump, and then she brings this complete BS case, this only feeds into the idea that she was targeting him. You're not allowed to do that. This clearly is going to be used as evidence, I think, in the case up in Albany. It's certainly going to play into the mind of any jury if it ever gets that far. It's a big day for Donald Trump. She's got real trouble. I think she's going to get indicted. And let me go into something that you only hear in the ops desk. I think that grand jury is going to spread. I think in looking at the communications, they may be looking to try to get to the Alvin Bragg case, because that case was equally as ludicrous, never should have survived the statute of limitations, never should have been brought, period. And it was equally as bogus. It's also going to get thrown out at some point. Alvin Bragg, I think, is going to pay for his targeting of Donald Trump as well. Once that case is down, Donald Trump should, in my opinion, consider looking at a similar mechanism against Alvin Bragg, or you could see it happen in the grand jury, as I said, that's already impaneled against Tish James. Talked about it in the ops desk. Tish James, Alvin Bragg, the people in his office, and Matt Colangelo, who left the number 3 spot in the Biden DOJ to come down and work for Alvin Bragg. It's all predatory. It was all targeted at Donald Trump. It's completely bogus. Donald Trump has a lot of legal options here. And today, you can see it beginning to happen. I think they all have trouble, and that's why Tish James pushed for, I am sure, this $10 million fund that they put through the Albany legislature. The people of New York State are now on the hook to defend Tish James from Donald Trump. Ludicrous. Ludicrous. All right, let's move on. Eric Adams, since we're talking about New York, mayor of New York City's got trouble. 4 more people around him today had to surrender on charges. And here's what's interesting. Those charges are being brought by Alvin Bragg, which means Donald Trump can't pardon Eric Adams the way he did last time. All right, these are state charges. So Alvin Bragg has brought these charges now. In some cases, they are people that are being recharged, including the closest advisor, Ingrid Lewis-Martin, to Eric Adams. And the point is, any of these people could be amenable to a flip. And if they implicate Eric Adams, he's got real trouble. Right now, his mayoral campaign isn't going very good for re-election. But between that and some other wacky stuff going on around him, this woman, Winnie Greco, passing a potato chip bag filled with money to a journalist, it's all very, very wacky, and it only feeds into the idea that we're likely going to get Mamdani as mayor. And you have to say to yourself, is that one of the reasons why Bragg is going after these people so vociferously to take out Adams? Because Mamdani is polling at the top right now, and we're likely going to get him as mayor, and he's a fellow traveler for the likes of Alvin Bragg, who is far, far, far left. Let's go further into today's Brian Koberger related interview I had with the Moscow chief of police. If you didn't catch it, it's up in full on Fox Nation and Fox streaming service. A lot of revelations there. If you're interested in that case, it was really fascinating, and we really broke some news. A lot of the reporting around this case by other outlets has been completely wrong. I urge you to check it out. I'm Paul Morrow for the Ops Desk. We'll see you tomorrow.